Hello and welcome back to your fifth and final module, Christmas v Sport. A few months ago, Dee and I did a really great webinar, we like to think, on all about the Christmas and the World Cup. And thanks to our friends at Cam Media, who did an amazing Power of Sport research paper back in March this year, we have some really brilliant stats that just help to reaffirm the importance of the World Cup this year. So just to summarise a couple of them very, very quickly, in case you've already heard this information, the average drink spend when watching sport in a pub is £29, and the average food spend on top of that is £12, bringing the average, some really good maths there, up to about £41. However, we think at Bums on Seats for the World Cup this year, that's going to be significantly higher because it's such an occasion. We also know that sports fans visit the pubs an average of 42 times more than the average person, and their average group size is 4 people. So if you take those two stats together, that's really telling us what a huge opportunity you have to reach new customers during this period. And as we know, sport has grown so much in popularity that there are way more women and younger people watching sport across the board, really, really diverse, that there's no reason why you wouldn't get new customers through your door at this occasion. And the World Cup is a great lever for that opportunity. And this actually just reaffirms that 16.1 million people plan to watch the World Cup, the FIFA Men's World Cup, which is over 30% of the UK's adult population, which is obviously huge. So quite frankly, if you can facilitate showing the World Cup in any way within your operation this year, you absolutely should. Don't even procrastinate. Some quick headlines for you on strategy as well that we looked at. We know that personalised relevant messaging is absolutely key this year, and using sports platforms such as Fanzo, Matchpoint are really important as they have the reach in the database that you wouldn't currently get. So do look into those platforms. We know that you need to have a great view with good screens and audio if you're selling specific World Cup packages. It's exactly the same philosophy that we were speaking about before, about not over-promising and under-delivering and making sure you deliver the best guest experience. It's no different for the World Cup. What I would say on the flip side to that is it's still, though, however, a great reason for people to visit. If you don't sell specific packages and view of the screen, but you do just let customers know that the key games you will be showing. What that means is that customers will be able to come in and eat and drink with you as normal. Maybe they don't need the specific World Cup package, but they love the fact that you're just showing it and it's on there in the background so that they're not missing out. So you could actually potentially look at both. 29% of sports fans want to pre-book an area with a guaranteed view of the screen. So make sure if you're offering that, you have some premium pricing. Again, it goes back to premiumization. Your experience is the view of the screen, and then you've got your food and drink package on top. That's really, really important. 25% of sports fans want table ordering and payment. Why? Because they don't want to have to get up and miss any elements of the game. Remembering some of our earlier stats that 20% of the reason that people love hospitality, or what they really care about in hospitality, is speed of service. OK, so you've got to remember that that's even more important during a game because they don't want to get up halfway through and miss a goal. You must have the right tech and order and pay in place, at least as an option. It will also minimise any queue at the bar for you as well, and you should actually generate more money and more revenue because they're getting drinks quicker and they're ordering more and more. And 65% of publicans believe that showing live sport has helped attract customers to their venue. I absolutely buy into that. And as you saw for the two CAM stats that I showed a little bit earlier, if you take the fact that the average group size is 4 and that 47% of times, I think the stat was that they're more likely to go and visit a pub, looking at those together reflects that within there you're going to have new customers. So it's a really, really great way to get a new and different demographic into your business. Core strategy. Can you do footy? Can you do festive, or can you do both? It's really important that you only deliver what you absolutely can deliver for your guest. What we don't want you to do is just throw on some footy World Cup packages half-heartedly and just hope that it goes to plan, because you really need to either go for it in our opinion, or not at all, or go down the option whereby you're showing the sport, but you're not making it as a sales tool. It's more just another reason to visit. We don't expect every operator to be able to do both very, very well. In the pub sector, we would hope that you absolutely can. And looking at some of the timings of the games and how you can turn tables, there are opportunities in there to do both. But in some occasions, you might need to pick your side. And again, think about what your brand idea is, who is your core customer, and think about how you're going to capitalise on sales for next year. Because everything that happens during that latter part of this year, end of November, December, is all a feeder into having a strong 2023. So make sure you can deliver an experience for both, and it will impact your core trade long term. World Cup packages now. Okay, so this was a bit of a nice little quote from our lovely friend Blake at Cam Media. One of the biggest challenges for many pubs is to convince customers to leave the confines of their homes and venture out to the pub. Live sport can be that catalyst. Our research also shows that if you can deliver on what sport fans want, then the rewards can be huge. So giving them a reason to visit, and again, we talk about two things in Bums on Seats, local or destination. For the World Cup, people will choose to travel to come to you if you offer the right package that they want and you can deliver on that. From our research and the kind of top customer wants, basically at Bums on Seats, we know that these are the key tick box lists of requirements that customers need. And if you can include these 6 within your packages, you're onto an absolute winner. And I will tell you now that not many people are doing this at the moment very well, that's visible online still. So you can be the first, or certainly one of the first, to get this information out there. Offer the premium packages, which means a premium screen view and audio. And investing in really good audio is critical. A moderate choice of drinks and food, and don't forget, again, giving them those premium package upsells. Handheld tasty fast food, and fast food doesn't mean unhealthy. It doesn't mean that it's just burgers and hot dogs. Remembering that what we said about vegan health, sustainability, that's relevant for the World Cup because of how diverse everyone is who now watches the World Cup. Fast table service, pay at table as an option, so people don't have to leave. And you can be, what I love with some of this marketing messaging that you can use, be really bold and be really obvious with why this is. And you can come up with some really funny puns, I think, around all of this for your POS as well. Jump the queue, absolutely. There's nothing worse than, a group arriving to watch the game and they have to wait 5-10 minutes before they can be seated. So making sure that, as soon as they arrive, if they've pre-booked, they jump the queue, they sit down, and the beer or their wine or their spirits or whatever they've ordered is already there for them on the table, because you want that pre-order. Because guess what? It's no different to Christmas. You get the pre-order, you can ask for the money up front, or some of the money up front, and that's your deposit. And again, same as Christmas, where we're going back to this idea of traditional Christmas parties. And what we know about that is, you can no longer serve cold turkey, warm roast potatoes and lumpy gravy. It's the same here. No to warm beer and wobbly vessels. Exactly the same principle. Your quality and your standards have to be high. You would hope that this is volume, that you are getting people in, you are filling seats, they are staying for the duration of the game, and that's happening every game. But that doesn't mean that quality is impaired. It is still a competitive market. Although the industry is late, everyone's going to try to be doing it. So you have to be better. Here's some package examples that we love. This is the guys at Trapeze. So they've got some great examples here. They've been very clever. You can see they've called them by footballers' names, which I think is great. And they've got everything, they've just got a really good mix of group sizes. So you've got 4 burgers and fries and 8 draft pints. You've got 1 strong platter or 1 bearded lady platter and 4 pints. And then you've got here 50 wings and cans of beer and shot paddles. So it's really, it's really bold. The one thing I would critique here is that it's very much about beer. And obviously what you'd want to see, in my view, is more diversity on drink product. I've also got some further packages here from the Craft Pub Company, which is great. And I think what I like about these examples, especially the one on the right, is that they've just got this text here that tells you exactly what to do for Brewdog. So select your date, time and size, fill in your contact details, and select Brewdog keg from the pre-bookable packages, because this idea of having the kegs on the table, not only is it Instagrammable, it's also really easy and it's really sociable as well. So stuff like this is brilliant and it goes a long way. I still feel, however, that we are missing quite a lot of innovation out there so far with the World Cup. So I'm looking forward to seeing what else is going to come out of the woodwork, as quite frankly, there is so much opportunity that I do not think any operator necessarily has really capitalised on yet. So that means that you are not too late if you're watching this now and you're still pulling together some packages and some ideas. So here's our ideas for the ultimate World Cup corporate package. And again, remembering that there is a corporate market for this, especially with some of the lunchtime games. So think now, be the first to be online and on sale. Think premium, think female, think convenience and convenient booking. Think bounce rebook, because we know that there'll be some new customers in there. So how do you get them back for that second and third visit that doesn't have to be sport related? And think day into evening Christmas party, World Cup bolt-ons for the relevant fixtures. So absolutely, there's no reason that you couldn't offer the World Cup in the daytime if there's a daytime game, which there are a few, and then the group staying or moving elsewhere in the venue to have their Christmas party. Stuff like that can work really well, or incorporating a company Christmas party watching the World Cup. There's so much natural crossover. Don't always think about the two separately. Okay, so a little bit here on delivery. So there's kind of 5 key points to consider if you are going to go through the World Cup. And actually, to be honest with you, there's no different to what you would probably do with Christmas anyway. But obviously, you might want to consider tens. We always suggest now, and this is really specific on the back of the pandemic, but something that just becomes second nature for us at Bums on Seats, is that you don't just have one plan. You need 3. You need a plan A, plan B, plan C. What does that look like? That's really, really important. Use your systems to support efficiency. We've talked a lot about that, and Ed's given you some great insight in his section on systems as a whole, but it's no different. Any specific bookable occasion, your systems is absolutely pivotal to the success of that campaign for you and that project for you. The restock time between games, core and festive bookings is crucial. If you are delivering both, how can you quickly capitalise on this change and the switch around in the venue? What does that mean in terms of your staffing and your resource? And most importantly, your stock as well. So if you are going heavy on the beer side for your festive games, it doesn't mean that you wouldn't then be selling that for your Christmas parties as well. So you need to be really, really careful. And honestly, the best way of managing stock and managing product is through your packages. And of course, your team and contingency is key, and that really comes into the varying plans as well. The reality is that we're going into the winter months. People will probably still be off with COVID again. It's going to happen, and we know that we already have enough recruitment challenges within the industry at the moment. So you must have team and contingency in place. And again, to reiterate, the best way of managing your team and your labour is pre-bookings and bookings in advance and pre-ordering in advance, because all of that becomes far easier once you know it's happening. You don't leave things to chance. So planning and timings. We have done for you a handout, which I'll just give you a summary of at the end, which basically gives you the exact timings of the games and the outcomes after the group stage, and sort of what you should be focusing on, which is really, really important. Dee, I don't know if you wanted to pick up anything on this, because I know you're quite apt at delivery.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously we know that we hope, depending on how far the guys go through in the tournament, we know that there are some key games, and obviously notably we've got 2 that are nearest our big festive booking days. So the 3rd place playoff on Saturday the 17th of December at 3 p.m, and of course the final on December the 18th at 3 p.m. And as Amber rightly said, we really truly need to have a plan A and a plan B. I think it's if we go through to the final stages. If we don't go through to the final stages, you need to obviously consider how that's actually going to impact both your bookings and your operation. What's going to be key here is getting your system settings correct to accommodate the different outcomes. So this is going to take a bit of planning and a bit of input, and these settings are going to need to be continually updated as we move throughout the tournament, particularly if you are a venue that can, or a pub that can accommodate both of the events, to ensure that you don't have any conflicting bookings. And ultimately, tell your team, tell your customers, it's as always down to that communication, and make that communication really, really convenient so everyone can access that information. So be transparent with your customers. If you think you may have conflict with festive party booking and the sports bookings, be upfront in communicating that so you don't actually cause yourself pain further down the line. And importantly, ensure that that whole team are briefed and updated regularly, and they understand the booking process and the arrangements for both the occasions.
Yeah, and I also want to add as well that, you know, early is key this year. So please do not think, oh, the final's on a Sunday, let's hold out and not take any bookings and see what happens. Take bookings. If people are coming to you now and wanting to book, take the bookings. It's really, really important. If you know, personally, you know, the Sunday, the 18th of December, that is a purely footy day. Really, it's going to be quite quiet for Christmas parties unless it's Sunday lunch and you're in a regional location and there's families and things. But just be really bold, make a decision and stick to it, but then have a contingency plan B and C. Do not hold out because we just don't have that luxury. Christmas summary, Christmas and sports summary for you, and obviously we've gone through quite a lot of detail there, but the couple of three or four key points for me is assess your brand and venue's biggest opportunity or opportunities. They may be different depending on day of the week. They won't necessarily be the same. There may be opportunities that you wouldn't normally have gone after that you think, you know what, it's such a no-brainer with the World Cup this year. Let's at least show the games and see what happens. And that's an absolutely fine mentality to have. But ask yourself, are World Cup bookings right for your brand venue? And are they going to be profitable for you during Christmas? Where's the trade-off? If you are a Christmas venue, do Christmas, but there might be opportunities you can also do the World Cup. If you are a pub, you know, World Cup is going to be huge for you, but you really need to be managing both. So just think about that logically, strategically, and make sure you have varying plans for both. Identify where your biggest opportunity or conflict of interest lies. That sort of goes into the same point. Create tickets or pre-spend packages for your corporate consumer. And absolutely, ticketing is a really good idea and really good way of selling the games and seats, bums on seats, if you haven't done that previously. And actually, it's quite you can have different tiers of tickets. So you can have tickets where you can see the screen, and tickets where you'll be in a venue with the screen on, but you won't necessarily have a premium view. So all of that stuff can really help, and it's all pre-book spend. It's all cash in the bank essentially. It kind of works very similar to how the old school, you know, entry level at clubs would work. You could actually use ticketing in place of that to come and watch the game. And actually, you could, and there's nothing to say you probably couldn't sell standing space as well, which was ticketed, if you have a venue that you could accommodate that. And then lastly, delivery, and make sure that you've got all the time to plan the logistics, and that's all accessible and easy, and that the ops team understand that. And it's stuff that I'm sure is a no-brainer for anyone listening to this webinar because you're operators, but it's really important that we understand the delivery differences between Christmas and World Cup, but also how high the standards have to be this year. And now let me run through some specific strategies for you. So Monday, 21st November, you'll get these as a handout. This is going to be a lunchtime game. So for me, this is absolutely beautiful because Christmas would have started a little bit, but it's certainly not peak Christmas. So this is enticing local offices to come and buy corporate spaces to treat their staff or their clients on a Monday. I imagine a lot of local offices, or again, destination possibly as well, but more local, will also be giving their teams, their people, extended lunch breaks possibly. You could even sell work from the pub, work from the venue, and watch the game packages. So you could even do, you know, come with your laptop, don't work from home, work from the pub, bring your laptop, and also we'll give you a lunch. So you could do a really great lunch specific World Cup package on this day and capitalize on sales, which typically on a Monday, the 21st of November, you wouldn't have an awful lot going on. So it's brilliant. Tuesday, November the 29th, this will be a really popular game. It's Wales and England. It's 7 o'clock. This is where it should all be premium. It should all be pre-booked. You should absolutely be going for it. Again, Christmas will be quieter. I would put the World Cup as a focus over Christmas on this day if I was an operator. But you might be lucky enough to be able to do both. You might say that this Tuesday, November the 29th, is a good day for larger Christmas bookings that want private hire spaces. And it's a brilliant day for groups of threes and fours and fives that want to watch the game in your main core bar. So you would carve up your spaces differently depending on what you've got for this day. Friday, November the 25th, massive game, really, I would say. This is 7 o'clock on a Friday. Again, you want to get people out from home. This is going to be local residential, possibly more than office, because people are tended to work from home on a Friday. So how do you get them out? What's the experience? What's enticing? This will probably be mates meeting up together more than corporate. So you can think about your marketing strategy differently there. This is a social media strategy, I would say, that you need for your B2C market. Certainly corporate will be a lot less, if at all, because who wants to go out with a business on a Friday night? It's still November, not December, so it's just going into Christmas. But I would say this is a real consumer opportunity. And then you've got the group playoffs. So that we've got some Sundays and a Saturday there. It's actually my birthday for those of you that would like to know that. But we've got a Sunday and a Saturday there. So look, there's key weekend days. A Sunday night is just a no-brainer. You're not going to have loads of Christmas parties on a Sunday night. We know that. You'll get Christmas bookings on a Sunday lunchtime, not a Sunday evening. Go for it with the footy. And then obviously on the Saturday, December the 10th, that's a massive day. It's in the afternoon. It's 3 o'clock. It's beautiful. You would absolutely slam that through premium World Cup packages if you can. And then the finals, if we're lucky enough to make it, which of course we will. This really is there is no reason for anything other than going all out. You need a plan now to assume that England will get through. You also need a plan now to assume that they won't. And that's the best advice I can give you. I think in terms of taking bookings, you absolutely want to focus on any early World Cup bookings and high premium options. You can get those booked in as early as possible on the basis that if England aren't through to the final, think about what that means. What happens if those customers want to cancel, for example. There's a lot to consider within this strategy. So that's really where you need more than one plan to account for that. These are going to be, if you're regional outside of the city or friends wise, there'll be some big Christmas stuff in there. But what's great is on the Saturday the 17th, for example, the footy's at 3. You could easily serve a Christmas lunch and then a Christmas dinner and then have the football in the middle if you were smart enough. So there's opportunities again for both. I would just take as much as you can at this stage as early as possible. And again, plans, premiumizations, it doesn't change. It's all the same feedback. Dee, did you want to add anything to anything I've said on this bit?
I think my big one here, Amber, would be don't assume the customer knows. So, for example, if you get someone that inquires for a Christmas party for 50 people on Saturday, the 17th of December, that starts late in the afternoon, don't assume that they know the football is on. This is going to catch people out and is going to potentially get lost in translation. So he said it's very important to be transparent and be upfront if you are showing the football, or if that is going to impact on any potential festive bookings that happen at that point. Don't assume that the customers know that the football is going to be playing then.
Yeah, I think that's a really great shout. It probably feels like we're giving you more questions than answers in this section, but I think what we're trying to do here is really reiterate that there's massive opportunity with both sides of the fence. Ideally, we want you to be able to do both, but be strategic and specific to the game, the date, the time, the space and your venue. You cannot have a one size fits all, and you need your booking system and your packages to reflect all of that. And it takes work and it takes time, and you need to be doing it now. And getting those packages right is absolutely pivotal. And then considering if you don't want to do the World Cup to this level, just showing some of the key games in the background as part of an additional value added is a good idea if it fits with your demographic. So a few top tips to take away. Sorry, that sounded a bit funny. What's right for your brand to offer? So the first step is deciding whether showing World Cup games is the right move. It's very tempting to jump straight in, but given the short-term sales win, but consider if it will impact on the brand experience in venue. So only do it if you know you can deliver it. Consider who your core customer is, and are you happy with that demographic and that customer? Are you happy with what that means if you're going to be showing the football? Can you segment different spaces within the business if you're lucky enough to do that? You may wish to take an approach whereby you only show the games for larger parties and full venue hires, which is absolutely fine. It's all in the communication. You should still be capturing those inquiries and taking those bookings online, and that should still fall into a very easy and streamlined customer journey. You might decide it's right for some locations but not others based on various factors. You don't have to do a one size fits all. And then you must agree that how and when you can start promoting everything, and really the sooner the better. I think Dee's mentioned it a couple of times, but the communication to your customer from everything is down to where the screens are going to be, how it works with other Christmas parties happening in the venue, how long they've got the seating for, the type of food menu that's on offer. All of that is absolutely critical. This is the type of occasion you could easily get complaints. This is the type of occasion that's such a big deal for people that it has to be perfect. It's the same as Christmas, the World Cup. It means that much. The emotions there. Invest in the right packages and making sure that they have their set reason to visit and they understand that. You must have great photography and videography where possible. Think about actually getting some content and how the content looks when the games are happening as well. So it's live. That's a really great idea because it will give you future content as well. And if you are trying sport for the first time, this could easily be something that becomes part of your DNA. So, you know, that it's worth investing in. And I would say launch all your marketing comms in 2 stages. So targeting your corporate customer and then your consumer. Do not try and target corporate and consumer together. They're completely different demographics. Understand how the different games and games times will depend on who you're speaking to and your demographic. So there's quite a lot there to think about, but we hope that has been helpful. It's been a mammoth day for us. There's been a lot of content and we've taken you in a few different directions. I'm sure there's quite a lot of stuff that we have repeated because there's so many key messages that we want to land. I'm sure there's stuff in there that you already knew, but we're hoping that there'll be 2 or 3 things that is different. And certainly there's some content in there that you can easily distribute down to your teams and to your teams at site level. And just by making a change across 2 or 3 elements of your sales, you'll be amazed at the difference that can have to your top and bottom line. A few thank yous to the lovely CGA, Cam Insights and Feed It Back for their help and support, without which we would not have the evidence to back up our theories. And if you need anything from the team Bums, this is our contact info there. Our head office is in Fleet Street and it's always an open office for anyone that wants to come and say hi. And I'm always available for a coffee, as is my lovely team. Thank you for listening. It's been a whirlwind of a day and we shall speak to you very, very soon.
Thanks very much. Goodbye.